Afternoon, guys. Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School, back out here with another video in our modern trapping series. What I want to do today is I want to show you guys a couple little tips and tricks, modifications that you can do for your 110 body grip or 110 Conibear type traps that will help make them safer, make them easier for you to manipulate and use in the wild, and also things that will help improve your catch ratio. So the first thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about putting a safety hook on your 110. And all I've done with this is I've taken an S hook, and you can buy these S hooks just about anywhere, and you can see it right here on the spring. And I've bent it out on one side and squeezed it down on the other so that now I have a safety latch or a safety grip very similar to what I have on a double spring body grip trap, like a 160 or 180 or 220 or 330 for that matter. And now I can just go out here with my cold hands. I don't have to worry about setting this trap and hurting myself. I don't have to worry about trying to squeeze the spring or anything else. It's pre-compressed and I carry it that way in my pack. Then all I have to do is get my trap set where I want it. And at that point I can release that safety device. And I've got this one cut just a little bit longer than it needs to be, actually. Just a hair. It needs to be filed down just a shade. Squeeze that down just a little bit. There we go. Now it come right off, okay? And again, a file will take care of that. I can just file that edge off just a little bit and that'll take care of it. This one I've put on, and I haven't used this trap since I put it on there. And then if I want to re-engage it, it snaps right over the top of it again. But that will keep this trap, if something were to happen and it goes off, it's going to keep this trap from slamming on my hand, because that spring is compressed. So that's just one quick, easy mod I do to all my 110s for the most part that I carry in my backpack, so that, number one, they're preset. The only time I've got to reset this thing is if there's an animal in it. Other than that, if I go to the set and I decide to change the spot it's going to be in, I can just flip that lever back over the spring, just like any other bigger Conibear type or body grip trap, and move on. So that's one quick, easy modification you can do to make things a lot easier on yourself. You're not going to hurt these springs by keeping them compressed like this. You know, they told us at the Fur Takers of America Trappers College, this does not hurt those springs at all. If for some reason you felt like your spring was getting weak, you can take the spring, put it in a vise, pop it off the Conibear or the body grip trap, spread it back out, compress it again, and put it back on the trap. It'll be just like good as new. But I've left these things set like this in my pack for months, and it hasn't hurt them a bit. Folds up very small, just like that. Okay? That's one mod. Okay, the second thing we can do to help ourselves out is we can take our stake that we're using, or whatever we're going to use for a staking device or stabilizing device, and drive a 12-penny finish nail through that stake before we ever go out into the woods and keep these with us for the traps that we're going to set. And what that does for you is you can, number one, you already have a stake to hold your trap down. So you put your stake right through the loop on that body grip trap, just like that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take this spring, and you're going to, let me put the spring on first. We're going to bring the spring right up to that nail, and then we'll put our ring through it. Then all we're going to do is we're going to twist that nail into the spring, just like this, by rotating it around. And what that's going to do is that's going to stabilize that trap. Now, I'll flip my safety device back over on this thing so I can manipulate this trap a little bit. Now, all I have to do is shove this thing into the ground where I want that trap, in front of a pocket set or a blind set, whatever the case may be. If I'm setting for mink, I can just shove this thing right underneath an overhang or a ledge on the bank where there's water, stake it down right midway at water depth, and I'm good to go. And I've got something that's going to stabilize that thing, and when the trap gets set off, it's still going to be stuck to the stake. The ring's still on the stake. Trap's not going anywhere. The animal's not going anywhere. So I've defeated, you know, two birds with one stone. Theoretically, I really don't even need this chain with the loop on it at all, because I've got this thing attached to the stake. So as long as the stake's in the ground good, it's not going anywhere. Or you could just chain this other loop off to a tree if you wanted to. Either way will work just fine. And all I've done is trim that down to a point, and then I can manipulate that trap anywhere I need to, just like that, to make it square. That's a really good mod for your 110s, and it'll even work for 220s, but it works really good with 110s, 160s. So that's two mods. Okay, this third modification that we're going to do to a 110 body grip or a 110 Conibear type trap, we're going to use traps. What you're looking for is you're looking for a corrugated plastic sign, okay? And this one here, I dug out of a ditch today, and it was from a fireworks website, so it's probably been laying in the ditch for 6 months, and it's still good to go. These things are made out of corrugated plastic, and that corrugation is the secret to what we're going to do. So the first thing we want to do is we want to just cut ourselves a square off of this. That's the beauty of this sign. It's going to make a whole lot of these. And all I'm going to do is take a razor knife, lay this sign flat, get in between the corrugation here, just like this. Slice that thing down. And then I'm going to cut another square about 2.5, 3 inches, just like this. And I'm cutting across the corrugations that time, so it's a little bit difficult. Alright, so what we have now is we have a square here that is about 2.5 to 3 inches by 2.5 to 3 inches. And you can see these corrugations in the plastic, these holes right here. That's key, all right? What we're going to do is we're going to take one of our body grip traps and we are going to grab a pair of pliers and we'll straighten these wires out. I've got these bent. When you get these body grip traps, the wires are going to be straight up and down. You can bend them and manipulate them about any way you want to. So the first thing I'm going to do with these wires is I'm going to bend them straight up. But what I want to do is I want to make sure that when this trap is set, they're going to be to the inside. So I'm going to bend them toward the other jaw of the trap at 90 degrees, just like this, and just like this. Okay? Straighten them out a little bit. Now you can bend them another time and get them a little bit wider if you want to, but this will work just fine. Basically they're straight. I want them a little bit of a V so that I put pressure on that corrugation, and then I'm going to take this piece of corrugated plastic and I'm going to slide this right inside the ribs, just like this, and push it on, just like that. Now I can paint that to camouflage it if I want to. The reason I'm doing that is because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this trap and I'm going to hold it upright because that's where my safety's at, or it's going to fall off. But what you would want to do with this now is you'd want to set this trap. So basically what you have is you have a treadle now inside the trap. Just like this, okay? So now I'm going to set this trap upside down. Now if I'm using it, I'm going to hold my finger on this safety device so I don't snap my finger in it. But the object of the game now is I'm going to set this trap upside down. I've got to give myself a little clearance, so now that stake thing works really, really good. I put this in front of a pocket set, and now if my bait's back here, the animal actually has to step into this set and tread that treadle to get to my bait. This works really, really good for things like Martin and Fisher boxes where the animal's actually crawling into your box. Instead of having to trip those hairs or trip those triggers or go through those trigger hairs, all he has to do is step on this plate and drop it down, and it becomes a foot treadle type trap now that you can use and modify to what you need it for. And it will increase your catches dramatically when it comes to pocket sets, because the animal's not going to pay any attention to that. With the bait back here, he's going to step right on top of that. And as soon as he steps on it, he's going to get hung in that trap. So like I said, you could paint that piece of corrugation to camouflage it if you wanted to. It's not a problem. And the trap is still going to fold up just as small as it did before, even with that on there. So you can do that modification and keep those in your backpack, and they're still going to work. That one piece of signage will probably make 30 of these. so you can carry a couple extras with you if you tore one up. But like I said, they're made out of plastic, they're very long lasting, and they work very well. It's a cheap common man mod that you can get for free. Okay guys, well I'm Dave Camber at the Pathfinder School. I appreciate you joining me for this short segment on a couple 3 modifications you can do to 110 body grip or 110 Conibear type traps. Very common man stuff, very easy to do, doesn't hardly cost anything. It'll improve your success rate, it'll improve your safety, and it'll improve, you know, everything about your trapping experience, including how fast you can get your sets in the water or on land, depending on how you're trapping with your Conibears or your body grips. I appreciate you joining me for this video. I thank you for everything you do for me, for my family, for my school. I'll be back with another video as soon as I can.